Is Clifton Raheem Bradley, and I'm trying to get Mark in here. What do I do? There he is.
You
How
can
you
see me?
doing? I can see you, but you know what?
But can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, brother. Loud and clear. Now I got to figure out how do I get myself over. Maybe I can't.
No, when we go back off and start back over
No,
again.
no. You know what? You know what? This is a new program. This is a new program I'm working with. So, you know what, man? If that don't work, I could just ask you the questions because they're gonna hear it anyway.
Yeah, but well, you can figure out why we're talking, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Now,
try, man.
now, Clifton Bradley, are we live?
Yeah, we live right now
But on what though?
on YouTube.
Oh, that's not good.
You know what? Let me start this all over again. Let me start over from point A. I can start all over again. You know what, man? You know how you learn these new programs. What's strange is I see you, and you know what? Can you hear me?
Yep, yeah, I hear you just fine.
But why can't it be just a thing where I'm just asking you questions?
No, go right ahead. I mean, I'd rather have you. That's why I haven't done one of these shows like this
Uh-huh.
because it takes me a while to figure out things, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to do one of these things where when I'm talking, it'll be like we'll be side by side,
That's the way it's supposed to be.
and then
That
when
is
you're talking, then my picture goes away and it's just you talking,
that's the way it's supposed to be.
and I want to be able to switch that live. Okay, now, okay, look at that.
Oh, okay. Right. See? Okay. I'm in classroom right now. Okay. So you know what? Yeah, it should be live, right? It's live right now.
Now, and you can record this.
Yeah, I can record
If
this.
somebody's going to watch this.
Yeah, somebody's gonna watch this. You know what's funny is, man, we always wanted a studio, but we got a studio in our own basement. You
Yeah,
know,
but like I said, yeah. Well, I'll be quiet. You start your show, and I'll stay as long as you need me.
okay. Okay, hold on. I gotta go.
And you're gonna. Okay, this is just YouTube. It won't go on to your public access show, will it?
It's gonna go. No, because we're gonna advertise. No, but I can't. I can edit it. I can edit it out.
Wow.
I can edit things out. But you know what? I'm an editor. And you know what? There's something I could do. I learned from people like you, brother. Okay.
No, I tell you now. If I take these headphones out, can you still hear me?
I'm still here.
You can still hear me. Okay, and it
Yes, I
sounds
can.
fine.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
yes.
And you don't hear this you don't hear the feedback on this speaker here, do you?
No, because I have a something that I have an app on here that takes care of echoes.
Man, that's amazing. Like I said, I surf too much on the internet, and I get distracted. I have all kind of issues, and this is why I don't have a show like this because I hate learning things. It takes me so long to learn things.
Well, Mark, people
I'm
like
kind of
you.
slow, evidently.
Well, hey, you know what, Mark? I'm gonna tell you something. I'm slow. You know what? You may read a chapter one time, but I read it two times. But you know
Right.
what? It ain't about giving up. It ain't about giving up. You know what? So I guess we can start. There's two people
Okay.
listening already.
Oh
So
wow.
so let me intro you, okay? And then
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna edit this. Okay. First of all, you know what, people? Assalamu alaikum to everybody. You're looking at the Underground Railroad television show. We come on in Chicago every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. Central Time. And you know what? I am honored to have a brother that I've been knowing for years, Marc Sims, on my show. He has his own podcast. He has his own Facebook page. And he's the author of a book. Okay? And I have to give him his flowers. Why? He said, I'm doing this
don't
because
say that. Don't say that.
no, I have to honor you while you're alive. Because you know what?
But we want to
People,
don't say that. We want to be
okay,
alive a long time.
okay. People like, you know what? People, first of all, my mother and my father, but brothers like Mark Sims, I knew nothing about YouTube, nothing. And he even encouraged me to go back to school, but he doesn't even know that. But I'm telling him now. And Mark Sims, thank you, brother. Let me tell you, thank you. Mark, tell us, you have a podcast, but first of all, who are you? Who are you?
I'm just a dude, man. Hey, listen, I'm still trying to figure out this journey called life we're on. You know what I'm saying? You're just a few months older than yours truly, maybe a half a year, more than a half a year older than yours truly, and we just living, man. We just figuring this out as we go along. I'm just a citizen of the United States of America. That's who I am. Just a person. You can say I'm a speck in the cosmos, in this vast cosmos. I'm a little middle. I'm just a regular person. I'm a dude.
Not all of us are even the big stars.
No.
You're a big star. But you know what? I would really, really like to ask you. You used to have a television show that come on CAD television, okay, called Viewpoint. Why did you start Viewpoint, and why did you let it go, if you don't mind, if you want to get into that?
Yeah, okay. No, I used to have a TV show. What was the first name? The show was called Improving Students in 1991, I believe. I didn't write this stuff down. This is coming from out of my brain somewhere else. And listen, I was dumb as a stone. I'm still learning. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no skill and no competence, no real confidence, but I had ambition to be on television. Just wanted to be on TV, just to really to massage the ego on one's part. On the other part, I was sincere about what I wanted to do, but I had no idea how to do it because you want to help people, but see, I wasn't educated, formally educated. So I didn't understand how the game was played, where if I wanted to help young people, first thing I had to be, the show was called Improving Students. The show was turned into the name Black Talk. It was Black Talk for a while. And then it morphed into, what was the Viewpoint, very generic term named Viewpoint. And we did it for 25 years. It went all over the highway, and it got old, and I ended the show. So it's okay. It was fun. It's just part of life, and it was fun while it lasted.
Y'all don't know on the slide, I'm trying to get him back in the studio with me one day. Maybe he might say yeah. But but Mark,
nowadays you don't have to go to the studio now. You stay in the basement of your house and do broadcast.
Yeah. And Mark, something I'd like to ask you. You are all about education. And you know what? We have to commend fathers like him. He inspired his children to go to college. And everybody's not going to go to college.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, we can. Yeah, keep going. I can talk about college forever. Keep going.
Okay. So how did you inspire your kids to go to college, and how did you play an integral part in their PTA? I don't even think you call it PTA anymore.
Yeah, the thing about it is that I like to hear people's backstories. Now, some people can't tell the whole story, which is fine. I'll tell a bit of mine. It's not magic. It's very simple. I hated school, hated with a passion. And like I tell folks all the time, I like telling my story. Everybody has one. I like telling mine. I got pushed from the smart kid class over to the dumb kid class. Back in the day, people know this, back in the 70s, back in the day, that they had smart kid class and the dumb kid class, and the kids are in between. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, because I understand it all. Didn't understand it then. So I got kicked from the smart kid class to the dumb kid class, and I never recovered because I felt dumb. And I'm still dealing with it 50 years later. Still feel dumb. Never got over it. Should have got some therapy, but we didn't get the therapy.
But can I say something? You was not dumb. You just had a different way of learning. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's all true. And so I never went to. After I dropped out of school, I went back. I don't know, 4 years later or something, to get my little high school degree. But I wanted my children, my grown children, they're grown now. I want them to get a college degree. And I don't understand what that means. I didn't understand it then. But let me tell you, some of the statistics I may have wrong. But one of the if one of your parents have gone to college,
Mm-hmm.
you're not a first generation baby, if you will, student. You have a
Mm-hmm.
greater chance of going to school and finishing, because a lot of people go to school, but a lot of folks don't finish for a lot of good reasons.
Yeah.
And so it's very simple. I hated school, so never did any post-secondary education of any sort. I'm looking for a job as we speak, and I'm trying to go right into retirement. I'm trying to get a job, another job, because I'm at an age where I don't like people telling me what to do. I don't want to work either. I don't want to even work anymore. I got issues.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want my children to go through this crap. I really didn't. So, but their mother graduated from college. She has a college degree. So it wasn't an issue. Most of the people I know who were born in the 60s, like I was, and who went to college, college was different back in the day. It was different. Things have changed slightly in the past 40 something years. 50.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody I knew, you probably knew too, Clifton, and the folks who are watching this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying college is the end all be all. I'm just talking about college. For y'all, for you haters out there, because I know people like criticizing. I can't take criticism. I can't. I know people my age, they said it wasn't a question that they were going to college. They were in a home where people went to college. Or if their parents did not go to college, they're saying, you are going to go. And it's not an issue. We don't want to even discuss it. So that's how it was in my home. But although I did not know how much college was going to cost, and when my children going through grammar school and high school, elementary school and high school, the cost of college doubled. It was expensive, but it's very basic. And here how it goes. It's very basic.
But you can get a grant. You can get a grant.
Well, yeah,
I mean, you get a grant.
Yeah. But
I'm not talking about a loan.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a grant.
But that's a whole can of worms. I'm not an expert on that stuff.
Okay.
You're a regular student. You have a regular student with no little specialties. You don't bowl, and you don't do that. You don't do this. It's much harder to get these little scholarships and grants.
You know what?
But the point is that it's like this. Me and the wife, we live in a regular bungalow in Chicago, and we chose to send our children to school. We could have got a nicer house, a bigger house, nicer cars, better cars, nicer vacations and trips around the world. And we chose not to do that, but put our children, son and daughter, through school. This is not rocket science. We pay for it. They have no debt. And they'll understand what we did maybe another 5 or 10 years from now. But the point of that is it's very simple. This is not rocket science. You want to do it.
You know what, Mark? Something that just really intriguing to me. Yeah. You were very active in your PTA meetings. They don't even call it PTA meetings. Why is it important for the parent to be involved?
No, I wasn't into PTA, but I was up in the school a lot, because it's like this. Like I told you, I remember they put me from the smart kid class to the dumb kid class, and I never recovered. And I know how the system. I think I know how the system is. So I didn't want my children to go through the pain. Everybody got their own cross to bear. You can't avoid all pain and suffering. But I didn't want my children to go through the same pain in elementary school as I did, in the 70s. And I started in 67 to 76, right? 67 to 76. I didn't want my children to go through that pain. So I was up there. And as a team, me and the missus, me and the wife, we tag team this effort, because we didn't want the system to ruin our children the way they ruined me and didn't give her it was fine for her, but she would have been further along. It's the system. It's like the education system, the criminal justice system, racist system. It's the system. We're in the system. And if you know how to deal with it, you just deal with it the best you can. That's all you can. So that's why I was up there. And if anybody want to write this down, anybody that happens to be watching this,
I'm writing now.
If you type in whatever they watch, it'll be out there in the universe. You type in Marc Sims. This would be hard because it's on the Tribune. This was like 2000, almost no, 2002. It'll be 20 years this year, I think. I think it was 2002.
Wow.
Man, the years go by so fast. 20 years ago, my son was in grammar school.
Oh, wow.
They had a substitute teacher who didn't have control of the classroom, blah, 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 blah. Probably a very nice person, but So so the principal wouldn't rectify the situation. Very nice principal. She wouldn't rectify the situation to my liking, so I called the Tribune, the Chicago Tribune, and Dawn Turner Trice, who has a wonderful book out now. Dawn
Yes.
Turner Trice, formerly of the Chicago Tribune, has a wonderful book, born and raised here in Chicago. I never met her. I never met her. But she came up to the school and wrote an article about, it's called Unruly Students Are Hurting More Than Themselves. Marc Sims,
Mm.
Marcsims, Unruly Students Hurting More Than Themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago Tribune, like 2002. It's hard to get. I can send people the link, but it's hard to just type in and get it now.
You know what? When he sends me that link, but I want, you know what? Something else I really want to ask you is, you are the author of a book that I don't get the opportunity to really interview authors of books. Can they buy it on Amazon right now?
No, I hope not. I got a copy. I mean, I got to walk across the room over here to get a copy of the book to show it. The book has got to be, what, 15, 20 years old? I don't know.
It's still relevant.
Yeah. The point is, somebody was selling it on Amazon. When I stopped selling it, somebody was selling it on Amazon for like $200, something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So I put the whole book on a blog. And the book you're referencing from, I'm going to tell you something. I'll probably never do it again in my lifetime because I didn't have the confidence to do it back then, or the confidence. It was a total pain. Maybe it's a little easier to self-publish now than what it was years ago. But the book is called, for those who are writing this down, it's called Willie Lynch, Why African Americans Have So Many Issues. Willie Lynch, Why African Americans Have So Many Issues. You just type it in Google or whatever search engine. It's on a blog. The whole book, chapter by chapter, is on the blog. You can read it for free. It's a bunch of gibberish. It's a bunch of gibberish and scare you, because I think I've grown and matured and maybe learned a few things since I wrote the damn book. I probably believe everything, probably 99% or 90% of what I wrote back then. But of course, it's a bunch of gibberish, but it's interesting gibberish, and somebody may get something out of it. But it's based off the Willie Lynch book, Willie Lynch speech, about how we African Americans be divided and conquered. And anybody who haven't, probably younger people, haven't probably even looked at the speech. And when I was selling the book, Clifton, Brad, I was so upset. I go to the bookstores. I went around the country, coast to coast, all around the country, trying to promote the book. And the book owners would say, the Willie Lynch speech is not real. And I'm like, that ain't the point. The book is selling. That's not the point.
Yes.
And so the point that Willie Lynch had, I don't know, this mythical person, Willie Lynch, a slave owner, said, very basic. It's a long thing. In fact, you can type in The Final Call.
Okay.
You want to look at my book, Willie Lynch, Why African Americans Have So Many Issues, which is on a blog, which you can read right now. Go to type in Willie Lynch speech, Nation of Islam, and they have the whole speech there. Willie Lynch, Nation of Islam, the whole speech is there. Look it up. You can look it up like that. And it's a long speech, or whatever. It's a long letter, if you will. Within this letter, but it's about divide and conquer. Divide and conquer is the oldest trick in the book. For you really intellectuals out here, I think you can read, which I'm going to read this book eventually, Caesar's Gallic Wars. Caesar's Gallic Wars. And my understanding, Caesar's Gallic Wars is about divide and conquer, how a little small group, a small army can defeat a big army. So the whole game about Willie Lynch is about divide and conquer. Separate the men from the women, and you have the young against the old fighting amongst themselves, if you will, each other rather. And the light-skinned slaves and the dark-skinned slaves, or if you will, the dark-skinned slaves and the light-skinned slaves are fighting amongst themselves, and they'll be fighting amongst themselves for 300 years. It's been over 300 years. He could be forever. And we're still doing this every day. Who's black? How to be black? You're not black like me. Talking about school. Let me go far afield. I always tell folks when I get a chance to say, I personally, Marc Sims, I've never felt, this is all in my head now, I never felt black enough for most black people, because I don't sing, dance, go to church, can't play sports, right?
Yes.
And the other one is that I wasn't black enough for most white people, because, or anybody else in this country, because I don't sing and dance and play sports and go to church like most Negro, like some Negro, like a lot of Negro. And so that hurt my self-esteem, which I'm still wrestling with to this very day. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people have self-esteem issues. Of course, they in denial about the issues. Like I probably in denial about some of my issues that I'm trying to work out. We take one day at a time.
I'm gonna tell you about self-esteem. I'm gonna tell something about myself. I had a little self-esteem, but I went somewhere to get some help. to talk to a stranger. Now that's totally removed. But years ago, I wouldn't dare say that on the air, but who cares? They're not gonna pay one of my bills. So
No, that's a good thing. I haven't done it, and I probably, if I can find somebody, like I told folks, I went to my insurance, and they said the health insurance said
mhm.
you could see a psychiatrist, Mark, but you gotta pay the first $800 or something.
Yeah.
Then after if you pay the first $800 out your pocket, then we give you a discount rate.
Hmm.
And I was like, dude, for $800, I just stay crazy. I'm just not
Yeah.
going to
Well,
pay it.
well, but you know what? Military, you suffer all type of things. I would like to ask you, Mark. You toured many schools. What were some of the issues that were in the past, and what's going on presently in the school system with the psyche of the teachers and the students?
Well, Clifton Bradley, I've been kicked out of the public. I was kicked out of the public schools maybe 10 years ago, maybe more. I've lost count. Got kicked out of schools years ago. I used to go to schools doing career days for many years, probably over a 20-year period. And
Hmm.
like I said, I didn't have usually a person, because I do things butt backwards, if you will. The
Hmm.
person becomes successful, then they go out and help people become successful.
Hmm.
I'm not successful telling people how to be successful.
Yes, you are.
which
Yes, you
is
are.
insane and butt backwards, but that's what I do, and it's goofy.
Hmm.
I know I need psychiatric help, and so, but I haven't been in public schools in years. My children have gone since graduating from school, so I don't have no connection with the public schools. But I understand the public schools. It's the system that's trying, like you always talk about dumbing down. The
Yeah.
system is very simple. You don't want too many really smart, independently thinking people in any society, whether
Hmm.
it's China, Russia, anywhere in Europe, United States. If you're a person that is in charge of a country, you want people to go to work and shut up.
Hmm.
You don't want them actually thinking and to overthrow the government, overthrow you, just thinking about improving the society where you get pushed out. So you don't
Hmm.
want to be thinking people, and you want people to do jobs. You want people to pick up the trash. You want people to drive the bus. You want people to be teachers. You want people to do the jobs that needed to be done to keep the society going. So
Hmm.
you want some smart people. Yes, you got to have doctors, lawyers, professionals, scientists,
Hmm.
but the masses, yeah, they're more trained than educated, and I mean
Hmm.
trained than
Hmm.
educated. So I mean, so that's the thing about education. It's more training so you can do the jobs that's needed in society without asking any questions, but just being smart on one level and dumb as a stone on the other level. You don't want to. You don't, it's not designed to produce revolutionaries.
Okay.
Malcolm X or man, I'm getting old. Think what's the brother guy, Mark Clark and Fred Hampton. You don't want to produce any Fred Hamptons. You just
No.
don't.
Yeah.
You just don't. And to me, Fred Hamptons has been produced since he was assassinated. Him and Mark Clark, over 50 something years ago when we were children.
Okay, I would like to ask you, Mark. You know what? You produce a podcast, okay, on a regular basis. What was the brainchild behind it? What motivated you
Nothing
to do
motivated.
this?
Nothing motivated. Now, after I ended my TV show, Viewpoint on
When
public
do you
access.
come on? What?
I'll tell you that in a second. I mean, you
Okay.
type my name in, the podcast comes right up. Type my name in, Mark Sims Podcast. It's Mark Sims Chicago. Make it more specific. Mark Sims Chicago Podcast. It'll pop up. I'll tell you the name in a second.
Mm-hmm.
The when I ended my TV show, which was really hard to do, like quitting job. Anybody who has quit a job, quit a job that they really like, or they've been on the job for a long time. I did the public access show for 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
and it was hard to walk away. But
Yeah.
it was time to walk away. I should have walked. I should have left a year before, but let me do one more year. I just
Why?
walked away. That was it. I said I
Why?
can't
Why
do
did
it.
you want to walk away?
It was the show ran its course.
Okay,
I was
gotcha.
repeating myself, and it ran its course. And it's like it's like I'm trying to evaluate my life at this stage now. I'm like, what are we doing here? What do we
Mm-hmm.
plan to do for the next 40 years if we're lucky to live another 40 years?
Mm-hmm.
What do we plan to do? So you have to take these evaluations. So when I ended it, it was hard because that was part of my identity.
Yes.
Mark Sims, what you call it, the public access talk show host. And if people would think what they want, I thought I was doing something I get an ego kick out of it. You know, everything we do sometimes, I got this from Brian Tracy, the self-development coach. Everything we do is to protect, is to bolster our self-image or to protect our self-image. And that's a part of it. I am sincere about the messages of what I try to do with the show. But when I ended, it was tough. And it took me, I don't know if I did 2 or 3 years. I can't remember, maybe 3 years before I decided to do the podcast. Because I was like, what do I do now? My identity is gone. My fame is gone. You know, when you have a TV show, people call you, want to be on the show. Show's over. People stop calling you because you ain't got a show. They don't care. They done moved on to the next show. And so okay, I do the podcast. The podcast is fun. I had a podcast. The podcast equipment is like right here. I got some of the podcast equipment. I don't think if I can pick it up, I can show it to you. But here you got a little board here. Here's a little 2-channel board here. It was in a podcast kit, like how to do a podcast.
Yes.
Damn, I dropped my phone. I dropped something. See, I'm mussing stuff up over here. And so what happened was, I turned that light on in a second. And so what happened was, it took me I think the podcast equipment stayed in the box for like 4 months, Clifton Bradley, 4 months until maybe 3, until I figured out how to turn on the damn thing. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
What happened? I turned something. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I hear you.
I thought I hit something. I thought something. I heard something. And so I started doing the podcast. It took me a long time, and I guess, because I hate learning things. Like I said, maybe I was slow back in elementary school. And
you was not, Mark. I gotta correct you. Was not slow. You just learned a different way.
Well, I know the auditory,
kinesthetic,
and what a visual. I understand all that stuff.
Okay,
it was one of them things. Okay. So that's one thing about doing podcasts like this. I don't really need this extra light. I just like having it and whatnot. What else I'll do is turn it down and turn it around. And so there you go. Look at that. It's live TV, man. Love live TV.
Action.
Live TV. And so it's fun. The podcast is called Just a Few Questions. Just a Few Questions. And I do a little, education and public safety and whatever I want to do. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. But it's not making any money. So like people say, you making some money. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
W.L. Lillard, you made me think about him. Go ahead.
Yeah, people say if it don't, Jay-Z had a rap song like that, rapping about that. So if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Everybody know the saying. And I understand that if I wanted to make money, I would just do stupid stuff, give people the bread and circus and the foolishness. And if you want to make money, you can do that. Or you can do something intellectual, but you have to target to intellectual people. And I'm not a public intellectual. I'm not, on that level. So it's tough. You just have to find your market niche. I'm still trying to find my 10,000, 1,000 super fans. Some guy named Kevin Kelly had this theory about he was working for. I think he published Wire magazine back in the day. This guy Kevin Kelly, look him up. It's 1,000 super fans. Finding that niche. If you have 1,000 super fans that are going to buy everything you bought, sold, and loved you, you can make a living off your 1,000 super fans. You really can. I haven't found myself 1,000 super fans. I haven't found my people yet. But I got criticized by somebody because I had like people like Arnie Duncan, former Secretary of Education in the United States, former Secretary of Education. He ran the public schools for many years here in Chicago. And Paul Vallis, another guy who ran the public schools for many years here in Chicago. I don't know how long, but I had him on my show, and people a few people said, "You have too many white people on your show. It's not good." And they were right. And so I split the podcast up, and I have another podcast called 400 Plus for the Negro. 400 Plus, where I try to talk about African American issues to African Americans, which is just a whole nother, which is cool. So so it's just a few questions. Marc Sims. Chicago, pop it in, you see it. And 400 plus. 400 plus.
Great show.
We've been for 400 plus, and then type it in. And I don't know what I'm going to do next. I'm trying to figure it out. See, I'm at the age where and anybody, you don't have to be my age. You can be at any age. You're like, when do I'm going to hit the home run? And do I really want to hit the home run? Do I really need to hit the home run? Because you don't get too many opportunities in life, You know how it is, Clifton Bradley. I want to be a celebrity. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a rock star, then a TV star, and then but I had no confidence, and I wasn't really willing to do the work. It's like doing a podcast like you have now. I need to do what you're doing, but I'm not right now. Eventually I will. I'm not willing to do the work because I have ADD and some other issues where I have, don't want to do the work. You understand,
And
Clifton, right?
you know what, man? I totally. But you know what? It's been people like you, my mother, my father, people like you that inspired me to pull out the greatness in me, to make me, to understand that it's not the hare that wins the race. It's the turtle. It's the one that's the most persistent. It's the one that gets up. He fell down 10 or 12 times, but he keeps on getting up. That's the one that wins the race.
Yeah, that's true. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out. It's that you just try to take one a day at a time. You figure out who am I, what do I do, who do I do it for. There was a guy on YouTube. I forgot the whole. It was a TED Talk. That's what it was, a TED Talk.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to figure out what your purpose in life is. And his name was Adam something, Liquid or something. Just type in, for those of you at home, type in TED Talk. Find your purpose in life in 5 minutes. I don't have it in front of me, but it's like, who are you? What do you do? Who do you do it for? How do the people change? And it's like, who are your people? It's like some people have you know how it is, Clifton, they have a small church or a small mosque, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And that's their niche. They're not going to get a big mosque. They're not going to have a big church. They're not going to have a mega church. They're just, for whatever reason, they're going to have a small niche in the marketplace, which is fine.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how marketing and sales is. White Castle is never going to sell more hamburgers than McDonald's. That's not going to happen. But those little White Castles, they make $1 million a year or something ridiculous, right? So they have a niche, and in a marketplace, that's all I can do. And you have to say, well, everybody's, like I told you before off camera. We talk off camera sometimes. I used to be a limo driver, and I used to drive famous people sometimes. And they only had a niche in the market. Very few were like, I never drove Michael Jackson. I did drive Janice and Randy, but Jackson, but never had a chance to drive Michael Jackson when he was with us. Okay. But Michael Jackson was huge, but everybody didn't buy Michael Jackson records. So everybody had, Janice is huge, but everybody doesn't buy, Janis Jackson records. So no matter how popular you are, you're only going to get a niche, sometimes a big niche, or a small niche. You get a part of the marketplace, or part of the market or something. And that's all. And life is good. And that's what I have to do. I have to focus on just who are my people, let my people find me, and be happy with that niche. Like you are. You're just happy to have a show, and people, you bring people to Islam. You cool. You got it down. I'm trying to figure it out, but you got it down already.
Hey, Mark, you know what? I'm still going to Kennedy King, trying to figure out more. I'm taking classes at Kennedy King for TV. But my question is to you, Mark, is you have had the opportunity to examine teachers, instructors. What is the reason that the majority of instructors do not send their children to public school and they send them to private school?
Oh, the public school, private school is very simple. Depending on your income level, what you've been exposed to, and what you can afford, that's what you send your children to. What I mean is this: if you I never been inside the laboratory school, the lab school at the University of Chicago, the laboratory school, University of Chicago. But I hear it's pretty good, and I've talked to the young people who have attended school when I was doing Uber. I talked to a lot of them when I did Uber.
But hey, Mark, wait a minute. I was talking about teachers.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't know what a good teacher is until you see a bad one. Okay. You don't know what a good teacher is or what an exceptional teacher is until you see I'm sorry for going to far field, because you see I have an ADD. I go crazy. No. You got me focusing, which is cool. Yes. Until you see different levels of teacher, you don't know what good and bad is. You really don't. So you have to see the best and the average and the not so average. Now you can say, wow, I see the difference in different teachers. And teachers I like the 20-80 rule. I apply it to a lot of things. And depending on what school you go to, 80%, you go to a class, one school, 80% of the teachers are really into it. They're passionate about teaching. They're passionate about transforming the lives and educating the lives of young people. Then you have the 20%, could be 30, could be 10, 10%. They're there for the money. They're there for the pension. They don't give a rat's behind of how the children do or not. You're going to get that. Now, you go to some schools, only 10% of the teachers really care about your child. And that's just how the world is. And it takes, and let's face it, you're a young teacher. It takes a while to be a good teacher, and it takes a while to be a master teacher. So
Yeah.
sometimes I used to hate on teachers on my old public access show, really bad. Hate on teachers bad because the
Mhm.
teachers hurt me.
But,
It was personal. But what I'm saying, what I did know as I got older, the teachers are a problem. It's really the system is the problem. The
mhm,
education system is the
mhm.
real problem. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
But I guess what I'm asking, you said what I'm saying is the majority of Chicago public school teachers, they do not send their children there. They refuse to. Why?
I interviewed my second guest, I believe, as I remember, I could be wrong. Somebody knows this. Was Jawanza Kunjufu. I interviewed him a few times since, but on this in the big studio down on Green Street,
Mhm,
Green and Van Buren, the old studio. I interviewed Jawanza Kunjufu, and either on that show or some of those tapes have been destroyed or whatnot because I didn't preserve the video like I should have. It got all moldy and messed up in my
mhm,
basement here. Uh, he said maybe like 30% of teachers do not send their children to public schools. And I had a activist, education activist, Natasha Dunn. She was on 400 Plus.
mhm,
Natasha Dunn, 400 Plus podcast, Marc Sims. She
mhm,
said 33, I think 33% of student teachers. So it's been pretty consistent. Either
mhm,
20, definitely, she said 33, I think. I don't have it in front of me. But it's
mhm,
like the old 2080 rule. Like I said
mhm,
earlier, 2080. So let's say 20% to 30% of students, if you will, teachers do not send their children to the Chicago public schools. And I
mhm,
understand that because they understand the system and they can afford to send their children, let's say they're religious. So they're going to send their
mhm,
children to a religious school. Like the
mhm,
Navy family, I think they all went to Catholic schools. So they
mhm,
went to they went to Catholic schools, which is fine.
mhm, mhm,
So that's the reason. Sometimes they know it could be they got the hookup. They got a scholarship to go to send their children to the lab school or the
mhm,
lab school or going to Francis Parker on Clark Street on Lincoln Park or some other British day school,
mhm,
whatever. There's a lot of little private schools here and there, and they got a scholarship or they got the money to do it. And let's face it, like, I always tell people, talking about teachers in school, um, I always tell folks behind the scenes, I say, you can't expect Barack and Michelle Obama to
mhm.
send their daughters to the same school that Michelle attended in the 70s, which was
Okay.
Bryn Mawr, which is called
Mhm,
Boucher now. What is it,
mhm,
72nd and Jeffrey, whatever over there, 72nd Jeffrey, I think. And so, because they have the money not to send their daughters to the school, because you want
mhm.
the best for your school, pound for
Yeah.
pound now.
Mhm,
May not send your child, your son or daughter to the best public school or the best private school, but you're trying to send the best public or private school possible
mhm.
because you want the best for them.
And Mark, you know what? There's a controversy going on right now about race theory being taught in the public school system. Some people say that can be hurtful to a certain group of people to teach somebody about race theory. What is your opinion about
Yeah, I don't brush up on this stuff. That's why I'm not a commentator on these shows. I don't like doing it. I got to, like being going back to school, I memorize this stuff. Derek Bell, I think he's one of the first, if not, I shouldn't say the first. He happened to be African American, black, a lawyer. And I have a great quote by Derek Bell. Maybe next time I'm on your show, I'll tell you this great quote by Derek Bell
that? Okay.
about being in the struggle,
Mhm,
because I want to mess the quote up. I think he's one of the founders of the critical race theory. Critical race theory, I could be wrong, people. You tell me send me an email, marksimchicago at Gmail.
mhm,
You can straighten me out. He's one of the founders of this critical race theory, which is founded for like lawyers, for law
mhm,
school,
mhm,
to analyze, the prism of race. When you look at America, look at any subject, law, education, medicine, you look at through a racial lens, if you will, it just drips with racism, just racism left and right. This whole country just drips with racism. And so it's a red herring for the Republicans. Most grammar school, elementary school, high school students are not going to be taught critical race theory, which is like 30, 40 years old. It's been
mhm,
around for a long time. So
mhm,
no one's going to be taught critical race theory. So it's really not an issue. The issue is that this country never wants to teach young people the truth about this country. You have to teach them different. You teach a 5-year-old different than a 15-year-old. You teach a 10-year-old different than a 20-year-old. I get it. So different age group have to be taught different things. Like you can say if I'm right or wrong, Clifton Bradley and the folks at home. when I was a kid, I wasn't taught, as I remember, I could be wrong, I
Mhm.
wasn't taught America, the founding fathers owned slaves. All the
Mhm.
founding fathers but one, which I don't know which one,
Mhm.
owned slaves. I was
Mhm.
taught that uh, George Washington chopped down a cherry tree or something. That's what I remember. He chopped
Me
down the
too.
cherry. He lied that he didn't chop down the something about the cherry tree in George Washington when he was a boy.
Yeah.
I didn't teach us. I didn't have to learn until like a few years ago. I know that eventually you learn stuff over time, but not in the schools. That the founding fathers owned slaves, but I did not know until maybe 10 years ago that, maybe more, less than 10 years ago, that Thomas Jefferson owned 300 slaves during his lifetime.
Mhm.
300 slaves. So
Mhm.
those kind of things, they don't want to teach children or certain children or teenagers this rich history of America because
Mhm.
it's going to hurt their feelings.
Okay.
And they have to say, we can't tell you all the truth. It takes too much time to tell you all the truth. We'll give you a smidgen of the truth, a little cursory understanding of the truth, if you will, of this country, and don't feel bad because your family didn't own slaves. And if we did the DNA and we traced that your family didn't own slaves, don't feel bad about it. It's just the
Okay.
truth. It's okay. I
Mhm.
want to hear the truth. But people don't want to hear the bad things about this country, like slavery and segregation, discrimination, criminal
Mhm.
justice system. Like we're the only country, I think, other than South Africa. It used to be South Africa, the only
Mhm.
country that, like industrialized country like this country, which is a declining empire
Yeah.
that does not
Yeah.
have some form of universal health care. The only,
Yes.
and that's partly to do because they don't want the Negroes to have universal health care. A lot of the things in this country goes right back to slavery, discrimination, and segregation of the descendants of the slaves, which you and I are descendants of the slaves.
Mhm. Yeah.
America.
You go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
Mhm.
no. You ask me the question. I'm sorry, man. Got on the
But
soap.
my there's an issue that is going on in school right now. I'm not even going to touch on the LGBT. I'm going to leave that alone.
Oh, you
But
better, man. You don't
but
touch
you know
that.
what? But they have washrooms now in the public school system where if you feel like you're a boy one day, you can walk in there. If you feel like you're a girl, you can walk into there. What are your feelings about that?
Oh no, I mean you go get me canceled. What's wrong with you, Clifton? I'm not gonna get canceled. Tell you how I really feel about it and get canceled. You out of your mind. I'm saying that
Okay.
jokingly per se. I'm not touching the gay thing on any level because I had a blog. I used to do my blog a lot, and
Uh-huh.
all due respect, I said the gay freight train ran over my butt years ago. So I don't touch the gay stuff. Because I had no problem with the gay stuff. I'm still learning because I would think about it. I don't even go want to talk to that issue because it's complicated. When we were coming up, everybody was in a closet,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then they heard Rock Hudson. He was gay. He was a big star
Yeah.
for you young people back in the day. Rock Hudson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I was a limo driver, I like telling the stories about a limo driver because I missed that job, but only because I missed the senior celebrities. The only thing about that job I missed was
Mm-hmm.
meeting celebrities. I drove
Mm-hmm.
Susan St. James, which was
Mm-hmm.
McMillan and wife. She was a wife, and McMillan
Mm-hmm.
was Rock Hudson,
Mm-hmm.
who was gay back in the
Mm-hmm.
day. It came,
Mm-hmm.
but it came out he was gay and all that kind of stuff because everybody was in the closet when we were children.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's making an announcement that the closet don't exist no more. Which is fine because
Mm-hmm.
things change. So I don't really have an opinion of that certain issue or any issue. And I'm still learning. I was a limo driver. I drove. Ooh, every time I had trouble remember her name.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Was it Mr. Generous?
no. She was no. She was on the Orange is the New Black. She's a trans black woman. It'll come to me. I wouldn't say Yvonne, but it's not Yvonne, but it's something like that.
Okay.
But you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about. I drove
Mm-hmm.
her one time and I did not know who she was. I thought she was just a beautiful black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I looked her up and she's trans. I mean, she was, and I still didn't know what that trans thing was because I remember stuff like a Rocky Horror Picture Show, and the guy was talking, he was singing and dancing, telling me he's a
That's it.
transvestite from Transylvania or something. It's just a long
Yeah.
time ago. Rocky Horror Picture Show,
Mm-hmm.
and so okay, I understand the transvestite thing. This is a man who's wearing women's clothes or something, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's stuff that I don't hate on it because I don't understand it, but I'm cool with it because as long as you doing you, we cool. It's all good. Everybody be happy.
You know,
Okay.
I tell you something. I already know how I feel about it, but since I'm on YouTube,
Oh no, you got, oh no,
I have I have
if
I
you got
have
something nasty to say or bad or
I
contradiction,
have,
don't say it, man.
I have nothing
Don't
bad
say
to
it.
say. I have nothing good to say. You know.
No, no, all jokes aside, I say all that stuff because hey, well, consenting adults. That's my whole thing. These are consenting adults. As long as they're consenting, hopefully it's behind closed doors. Have at it. Go right into it. Okay. There are certain lines you shouldn't cross. I get it. In front of the children, I understand. But it's all good. And it's I understand it. When my son and daughter, I understand the thing. My son and daughter's in high school. They
Hmm.
had some kind of this. I repeat this. If you've seen these stories before, I tell the same stories on different shows. Okay,
Yeah.
but the people are back at home. My son and daughter was in high school, and they had a LGBTQ after school program or something.
Yeah.
I was like, or something. I said I didn't say that was gay, but I said something, and my nose turned up or something, right? And my children were very upset with me. These are teenagers. My teenage children at the time, they grown now. They were upset at me. And I said, come on, you gotta understand. Uh Daddy was back in the day, everybody was in the closet,
Yeah.
including your daddy. just
Being
joke.
funny.
Just joke.
Okay.
Just joke there. Person. The that's what I like that's old Rodney Dangerfield joke or something. The joke goes something like I gotta be Rodney Dangerfield joke. I heard this joke years ago. It goes something like
Yes, sir.
the gay guy says, Clifton, I wasn't always gay. This is just
Yes.
something I got sucked into.
Okay. I gotta ask you. These are two more questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
What would you tell people that are new parents when it comes to educating their children? Does it start in the womb when you are actually reading to the baby what's in the womb? What would you say to new parents when it
Uh,
comes to the school experience?
no, you got grown children. There's no, I mean, it's just
Oh, you.
it's really hard because if you think you know how to raise a child and you're a good parent, your children may grow up to do and say and be things that you didn't think they were going to do. So you just do what I'm saying as a parent, you just do the best you can. You just
Okay.
you know what you know, how you were raised, and you look at other people. It's a book I read years ago. I don't know if my children were born yet. I can't remember. It was Alvin Poussaint, who worked with Bill Cosby.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Alvin Poussaint, Dr. Alvin Poussaint, he wrote a book about like raising black children. So if you're raising whatever children, there's a book. There's books out there. There's of course there's YouTube now. There's plenty of videos out there. There's all kind of
Oh
information.
no, we gonna take
It really comes down to if you have to be honest about yourself. Do some research. Talk to people who've been there. When you have children, talk to people who've been there and done that. You're talking about going to the public schools. Let me tell you something. When I used to go to public schools and do my little, it was a career day. I was Marc Sims, the limo driver. Hey, I'm the limo driver. I
mm-hmm.
went there because I like to talk. Because most people, working class person like me, didn't go to the public schools. They were all most of them was college graduate. I was always the only college graduate, and I said things I shouldn't have said. But
Mm-hmm.
say things I shouldn't have said. But the point is that because I'm not a college graduate, don't know how to purport myself in the proper manner. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but I would tell the kiddies when I got good at the speech, like being a teacher, it takes time to get good. You get your shtick down and everything, your routine. And I would say, kiddies, let me tell you something. Do not rush to have children. If you have children, fine. Don't be in a hurry to have children. Do some post-secondary education. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do, what kind of pub, because I didn't do any post-secondary education. I'm still paying for it 40 something years later, whatever, 42 years to be exact later, but not doing any post-secondary education.
Mm-hmm.
And please travel.
Yeah.
Travel. No mama, no daddy, no uncle, no aunt, no grandma. Just you and your own 20-year-old teenage cohort. Travel. Well, I don't care if
Yeah.
you go to Milwaukee or St. Louis, whatever. Start traveling, go from there and whatever, and it'll work itself out. But the main thing I talked about was being a dad. Sometimes I talked about being a dad just as much as being a limo driver
Mm-hmm.
and about being a career because delay having children, Juwan, I did not want children right away. I was too much. I'm a silly person. I'm juvenile. Still am. I
Mm-hmm.
had children. My wife had two children. My children were born.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
33 and 30, 31 and 33. I was in my 30s. But
Yeah.
Juwan's Conjufa told me that, and I already made my decision before I even listened to him. I was in my
Yeah.
20s when I met Juwan's Conjufu, and he said
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't have children right away. He said 27 or something or something. What's the lady who did the ISIS papers? Frances Cress Welsing. She only had one lecture, and she tell you in every lecture, do not rush. She was talking about being 30 or 35, especially for men to have children. Because we don't mature
Yeah.
to be like 30, 35 years old anyway. If we start to mature for some people.
I wish I
So
would have waited.
what I'm saying, most of us not, and remember the good old days when you had children young, when it was the teenagers, the early 20s, grandma took care of them. Great grandma took care of them, right? Because you're too silly at any age to be raising children. Not
Yeah.
everybody, most people, like 99%.
Yeah.
So you're just too silly and not
But
mature to be able to raise children. So
but I'm
I wasn't the best parent, but I would tell folks I was a better parent since I'm 30 something years apart, 30 something years older than my children versus
mm-hmm.
I was 15 years apart. If I was only
Mm-hmm.
15 years apart from my children, I wouldn't be I would have faltered as a parent. I would just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't ready. Since we had
Mm-hmm.
that gap, so when they were growing up, I was in my 40s and 50s. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They went to
Mm-hmm.
school 40, 50
And,
years.
and, and and you know what, Mark? What advice do you have for young parents whose children are giving them troubles?
Well,
Talking back,
if
talking back,
children give you
talking
trouble,
talk.
the horses left the barn, man. It's too almost damn near too late.
I mean, how do you correct?
You
How
you
do you
you
correct and change their behavior pattern if they're talking back, keeping their room dirty, trying to come in when they want to? What do you
it,
do?
it's almost too late. It's too late. Malcolm, I love some Malcolm Gladwell. I need to listen to his podcast. I haven't listened in a while. Malcolm Gladwell has a video I post all the time, and I post these things on the Facebook. Nobody looks at it. I understand. I just post that stuff out in the world.
I looked at the one you
People
put
say
on Monday though.
you're casting your pearls among the swine. I want to get that deep. Malcolm Gladwell is a video I got from. I mean, you can make clips of videos from C-SPAN. He was on
Mm-hmm.
C-SPAN many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about a book, the Nurture Assumption.
Mm-hmm.
And the premise, I read the book. It was way over my head. It was like an academic treatise, way over my
Mm-hmm.
freaking head.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is that it was one of the premises of the Nurture Assumption was peers are more important than parents.
Mm-hmm.
Peers are more important than parents. Anybody's had children, yes, you become almost obsolete. And then listen to their peers more than you will, more than you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So your children, but you have to see the trick about having children. I think this is me. You have to be sort of understanding who you are,
Yeah.
and you have to be as honest. I would tell folks whether you are married or not, whether you live with your spouse or your partner or not, you are co-parenting your children.
Mm-hmm.
You are co-parenting your children, and you and this partner, spouse, whatever, girlfriend, baby daddy, whatever, you got to be on some kind of accord. And I swear, if you try your best, never argue and fight in front of your children. Let me say that try your best, because I know it's hard. Try to never fight and argue in front of your children. You got
Oh,
to.
you know what? I got another good question. This seems like we could talk forever, but you know what?
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Another good question I have for you. I think I want to hear your opinion that parents make an attempt to be their kids' friends. In other words, they laugh and joke with them and smoke, drink beer with them and curse them. And I think at some point that child loses respect for you when you try to be their friend. If you agree or disagree, please let me know.
No. It all depends because every child is different. Anybody that has more than one child, that child a little bit different than that child, and that child over there is way different than another child. Same parents, children they do their thing. They got their own little personality, right? This is their life, not yours. This is their life they're going through. The trick is that you have to have some type of I'm not say foundation, some kind of goal. You know how it was back in the day for a lot of parents, not all parents. When we were growing up, you're going to when you get out of high school, you're going to college, you're going to work, or you're going to the military. But you're not
Yeah.
going to lay around the house and do nothing. This is not happening. You're going to work, you're going to military, you're going to college. So you have to lay that, you have to almost say that from Jump Street. You have to give the sense that I'm going to support you. I do what I can. I'm a working class person. I never made over 50 grand a year, that kind of stuff, right? So
Mhm.
I can only do so much monetarily for my children. So I
Mhm.
have to be there physically best I can for them and do the best I can. If you talk to them now, they have probably all kind of bad things to say behind me, behind my back, and in front of my back too. But
Mhm.
the point is that because no one's the perfect parent, but I try to be as honest. You've got to be honest as possible, honest with yourself and honest with your children. You got to be honest, and you have to be honest, and you have to be consistent. The deal is
Mhm.
this: like my children, you're going to college. We're going to support you. And that's the goal.
Mhm.
If you don't want to go to school, fine. We're going to support you. But the one thing is that you're not going to be grown in my house. It's not going to happen. And
No.
you have to prepare the children for the day either you're going to kick them out or they leave
Yeah.
them on their own. But you have to help them, hold their hand or kick their butt, whatever it takes. But you have to be consistent. You got to be a plan. It has to be an exit strategy, an end game. You have to say, this is what we're trying to do. I'm going to try to
Mhm.
help you. And you know that as a parent, if you're a good parent, you're the ogre, you're the bad person, especially in those teenage years, depending on the kid, on the child. But if you've
Mhm.
done your work and you're honest about to your children, you're honest about them. You can't tell them everything, but you got to be honest as possible. They're going to come back in their 20s or 30s and say, "Mom, Dad, whoever, I get it. I understand now. I get it. I understand now." If you did a good job, because you're gonna be the bad guy. If you're a good parent, you're gonna be the bad guy for a few years until they get older and realize what's that quote from Mark Twain? Went something like, "When I was 14, I couldn't stand the old man. I couldn't stand being around my father." So I'm paraphrasing. I couldn't stand
Okay.
the old man, my father.
Mhm.
And then
So so
when I turned 21, I was astonished how much the old man learned in 7 years.
so
Something to
Mark,
that effect, you know.
so Mark, you saying in an instance, in some cases, it's good to be their best friends, to drink with
No,
them
no, 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 no,
while they
no.
pop.
The trick
I'm
is that you
asking.
have to be honest and consistent.
Okay.
Like I'm not. Sometimes I talk out of both sides of my mouth. You know, I
Okay.
talk a good game, but I don't even follow what I talk. I mean, so what I you can catch me, talking out about both sides of my mouth. So you try to be consistent as possible.
Mhm.
And yeah, you can't. You shouldn't be your children's friend. You got to be the parent. But the key is that I'm trying to prepare you for what's out there. Like I used to go to the public schools, which I love going to the public schools because I love
Mhm.
talking. And so let's say you went to even like a regular school or especially a charter school when they kind of more strict at a charter school, right? And I say it's hard to. I know you deal with the hardness now. I wouldn't want to be a teenager for all the tea in China. Some of those teenage years, I mean, parts of the teenage years of mine was so freaking painful. I understand why little children, and especially for black kids, I hear about black folks committing suicide. We didn't do that back in the day, not to
Mhm.
the degree that's
Mhm.
going on now. So I understand why a kid, grammar school, elementary school, or high school child or whatever, or even a young adult commits suicide because those angst, those teenage angst of trying to grow up, it's so painful at times.
Mhm.
And some
Mhm.
do kill themselves because the pressure's too much.
Mhm.
But you try to support the child and say, I used to tell the kids in public school, I don't care how hard they treat you, how they treat you like a child, they treat you like and they mistreat you in high school, but this is nothing compared to the real world when you got to pay them bills, when you're not living
No.
in mama's house and you're on your own. So
Yeah.
you be wish you can go back being a teenager. I used to want to
Mhm.
be away from my parents, and then when I got out there to pay the rent and I wanted to go back home because it's hard out here paying the rent and paying the bills and going to work every day and dealing with folks you don't like. It's hard. It's really hard. So and it's funny.
It,
It's funny. Let me say this: I like talking. I'm sorry. It's funny because my children went through that. A lot of people go through this. Let's say you're a senior in high school. You're a student in high school. They treat you like a kid. They treat you like a little kid in high school.
yeah.
But later on that year, after high school graduation, let's say you go to college, or whatever. Now you're basically an adult, and now you're like for like that in a month or two, like that. Now you go from being in prison to out of prison, and it's some people can handle it, and some people can't handle it. It just happens so quickly.
You know what? I love being on my own, but Mark, we are winding down, and you know what? A question I need to, really ask you is: I have asked you a series of questions. there may be something, a message that you wanted to get across to the people that I did not ask. Can you?
Oh
Something
no,
that
I don't have anything. What I'm telling you, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to be the Zen master of some sort. I like looking at some of the this guy named Muji. He's some motivational guru type guy out in
mm-hmm,
Portugal. I like seeing Muji. He's out in Portugal somewhere.
mm-hmm,
Or a Sadhguru. I like the Sadhguru. He is out in India, but he has a place in Tennessee, which I'm going to go to at some point.
mm-hmm.
And so what I'm trying to do is to control my emotions. I mean, everybody go through stuff. All the thing, they out to get me, and there are people on my job, and I don't have enough money, and I'm I'm overeating, and my health is not where it needs to be. I got all these thoughts. And my
Yeah.
job, I don't care if you're 20-year-old or whatever stage of life you are. Maybe you're the Zen master already, but if you're not the Zen master, trying to control the emotions and understand who you are and who you are in this cosmos. So no matter what happens during the day, you cool. I got this. I'm not gonna stress out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna let this bother me. It is what it is. I'm not yet. I'm not there yet. I know a few people probably are. Where whether you have the meditation, whether you do the prayer, whatever you do, is that life
Yeah.
does not bother you. You know people are gonna get sick and people are gonna die, and you're not gonna live forever. But none of that is really gonna stress you out and get you upset. And and that's what I'm trying to do. Which it may take me a few years, it may take me 5, it may take me 10, it may take me 1. If I get it, if I really focus and trying to
Okay.
control my emotions, control this mind of mine or something. Or don't
Okay.
let it get to me.
And I want to tell people that are watching this broadcast, have, because Mark Sims has a wealth of knowledge. Have him on your show, your podcast, write an article about him, have him on your radio show. This is the person that you need on your show because he's all about education. He's all about family. And have him on. And we're gonna get the final information of his website, his book that he wrote. He's an author, and he has a Facebook page, a YouTube page, and I'm gonna ask you for that information.
No, all you do is Clifton. You know how it is. All you people do is type in Marc Sims,
Okay,
MARC. It's Mark with a C, which is the
okay,
French spelling.
okay.
MARC Sims 1 M
Mm-hmm,
Sims SIMS Chicago.
mm-hmm,
I'll pop up. Marc
mm-hmm.
Sims Chicago. I pop up. You know, Willie Lynch podcast, old TV show. I mean, whatever, man. We just living, man. We just trying to. We just going through this. We're going through the cosmos. We're going through life, man. We're just taking it one day at a time, man.
And you will go on other shows. You will go on other
I
shows.
can't do everybody's show, you know how it is. Like everybody, people turn me down on my podcast all the time, or they ignore me. It's all good.
But I just want the people to know. And you know what? Again, you know what? Mark Sims is somebody that you should know because he is a positive person. He's been working in the community for years to try to disseminate information. And I am encouraging people that care and watch the Underground Railroad. Please go to his podcast, go to his YouTube page. Hey, go see his book. I'm encouraging. If you like this show, hey, he's had me on, and you know what? He has like an open door invitation to come on anytime he wants to talk about anything. I think he knows, but if you don't know, he knows not. All he got to do is pick the telephone. Okay.
Clifton, man, I can't thank you enough, man. You the man. I appreciate it.
No, you the man. Because you know what? You the man that inspired me to do this. Because again, I knew nothing about YouTube. Nothing about it. I was intimidated by it. But you encouraged me. And you even encouraged me to go back to college.
Well, I don't remember that, but you have surpassed the master. You have surpassed the teacher because you're way beyond me, which is cool. And when I was young, I used to hate on folks like you, but now I don't hate as much as I used to.
And you know what I'm gonna do? You the teacher. I always take my hat off to the teacher.
It's been a pleasure, Clifton.
I always take my hat off to the teacher. That's you. So people that are listening to this broadcast, share it, like it, because you know if you share it and like it, that helps with the algorithms. Algorithms say, "Hey, we like this." So, and then you live in Chicago, you want TV production done. Share My Media Production. We do TV production. We shoot television shows and PSAs, and I do video editing. And like I said, but support Mark Sims in his endeavor on whatever platform he's on. Thank you, Mark. And assalamu alaikum to everybody.
Well,
Thank you.
yeah.